Welcome to Sports Guy Talking. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am joined by guest Shawn Davisson today to talk about college football. Again, that name that we are talking about is JT Daniels. JT Daniels has had an up and down collegiate career. He hasn't been able to find stability at his place whatsoever, but now he is at West Virginia, and West Virginia is hoping that they're going to actually be competitive for once and maybe contend for the Big 12 championship. With JT Daniels now playing as their quarterback, we're going to go ahead and talk about how he's going to perform for West Virginia. Before I say anything else, though, I want to go ahead and present you guys with the topic question. So here it is. How will JT Daniels perform this season?
Yeah, man, this is a tough one. I mean, you look at JT Daniels throughout, his career, it's been, pretty much all good whenever he's been on the field, but he's also missed tons and tons of games from injury. The biggest question to me is, can he stay healthy? Because he had a bad offensive line at USC, got him injured towards ACL, goes to Georgia behind a good offensive line, but still gets injured there, and then gets unlucky, and Stetson Bennett takes over a spot, wins a national championship, which I think they would have won more comfortably, and maybe even the SEC championship if they had Daniels behind center there. I'm not a big Stetson Bennett believer, but that ends up happening. He transfers to West Virginia, and I think it's set up for him pretty nice. He doesn't have a lot of pressure on him, to be great. It's not like they're competing for a college football playoff spot. They're just wanting to get to a bowl game and maybe get to the Big 12 title game. Not a lot of pressure. They have a great offensive line, returning experience. That's good. So he'll be protected. And, he's got some returning wide receivers. The biggest question on that West Virginia team is way more on the defensive side than offensive side. And everything I've been hearing out of there is he's a smart quarterback, makes the right reads. They believe in him a lot. They're still trying to make it seem like it's a four-person quarterback battle. Fully expect JT Daniels to already have this locked up, and they're just trying to just keep the guys, make sure they don't transfer.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. JT Daniels, we always have known that he's a smart quarterback. In fact, if he had played for Georgia this past season, he may have actually entered the NFL draft and probably would have been at least a second round pick because that's how good JT Daniels has been. But you're right, JT Daniels, he has missed a ton of time whenever he has been on the field. When he has been on the field, though, he has been pretty solid for his teams at USC, at Georgia. He's always been productive whenever he has gone for the most part. It's not like he's been unproductive. The problem with JT Daniels is that he can't seem to stay on the field for an entire season. Whether it's him losing out a quarterback competition or him always getting hurt, there's always something going on with JT Daniels. And honestly, it feels like it's been forever that he's been in college football just because of the amount of times that this man has transferred and where he has transferred to. But at West Virginia, there's little expectations, like you're saying, because at West Virginia, it's not like people are expecting them to make the collegiate football playoff. It's not like people are expecting that from them. What do people from West Virginia expect? They expect a good season. How do they define that as a good season? That means that they make a bowl appearance and that they finish with a winning record. And if they have a fantastic year, maybe they can even go to the Big 12 title game. So you're right, JT Daniels, he has little expectations of him. And usually when JT Daniels has little expectations, that usually means he's going to perform up to par. So I see a good season coming from JT Daniels. All right, so let's go ahead and predict his record. What do you think his record's going to be, and what's his stat line going to look like?
Yeah, I'd like to throw one more mention out there too. Look at his offensive coordinator. You have Graham Harrell coming in from who was the offensive coordinator when he was at USC. I'm a huge fan of Graham Harrell. I think he's going to be, he's going to be a head coach at a power conference school one day. Fully believe it, calling it now. Watch that happen. So, there's continuity there. He knows Graham Harrell. Graham Harrell knows him. So that's going to be good. For that reason, their over under win total, depending on where you look, I believe it's around 5.5. So it's pretty low. If you take the over, you expect them to make a bowl game. If you take the under, they don't make a bowl game. Their coach might even get fired. Probably will get fired if they hit the under. So the coach has got a lot riding on the season. They start off against Pitt, who's a consensus top 25 team, but it's a big rivalry. I think they can win that one. I think there's Virginia Tech that they can win against. In conference, it's going to be that conference always self-destructs. They always beat each other down. I'm going to say this team finishes 7-5. That's my prediction.
And they'll make a bowl appearance. Do you think they can win
They're
the
going to
bowl
make a
game?
bowl appearance, and I do think that assuming JT Daniels plays in that bowl game and he's not ready to enter the draft or anything, I assume they win the bowl game as well.
All right. Well, I actually seem to be higher on West Virginia than what the odds makers are saying. And the odds makers, they're having them at 5.5 wins. I think that's entirely too low. I understand that West Virginia hasn't been West Virginia the last few years, but I blame that mostly on their previous quarterbacks. They haven't been able to find a quarterback since they had Will Greer back at West Virginia. But they got JT Daniels. He's a good quarterback. Assuming that he can stay healthy, this is a team that will win 8 games. They're going to go 8-4. They might even push to 9 wins. I'm going to go out there and be pretty bold. And I think JT Daniels, he's going to stay healthy for basically the first time in his entire career. And I think he's going to have a career year, and he's going to look pretty good for West Virginia. I'm liking the team that they got, and I think he's going to be able to save their coach's job. And you're right about Graham Harrell. Graham Harrell, he's one of the better offensive coordinators in the game. He knows what he's doing. Graham Harrell is going to be a future head coach in collegiate football one day. He's an offensive mastermind. I like him a ton. So that means that they're going to have a really good year. So what's his stat line? What do you think JT Daniels' stat line is going to look like?
I'm going to say he's going to have, in that Graham Harrell offense, I think 3,800 yards is definitely possible. So I'm going to say 3,800 yards for him. I'm going to assume a full season of health. I'm not going to predict injury. 3,800 yards. I'm going to say 26 touchdowns to 8 interceptions.
All right, and I'm going to go even higher than you on JT Daniels. I think JT Daniels will actually end up throwing for over 4,000 yards, assuming they can stay healthy. I know that's a big if. I'm not going to predict injury. I heard some people criticize me on an earlier video when I was predicting an injury to a certain quarterback, but I'm going to go 4,000 passing yards for JT Daniels, maybe a little more than that. I think he's going to throw about 32 touchdowns. I think he's going to have a very productive year for West Virginia. And his pick totals, I agree with you. I'm going to go with 8. I think that he's going to have a solid 32-8 TDINT ratio. He's going to throw for over 4,000 yards. I think his completion percentage is going to be very high. It's going to be in the high 60s. So I see a very, very productive season for JT Daniels for this upcoming season. And it's going to get to the point where people are going to be like, where was this JT Daniels that we've been waiting for? So I think he's going to have his breakout season. I'm excited to see what he can do. So that's just kind of where I stand at with JT Daniels.
Yeah, man. I think we're kind of on the same page. I think you're a little higher on him. I just want to I want to hear a little more things from it. I like the wide receiver room they have, but I'm not, in love with the wide receivers they have, especially compared to his previous stops. So it's not, I don't believe in them. I just have to see more I have to see it. I can't make a prediction until I see it. So yeah, I think you're a little higher on his stat line, his record. I think 4,000 yards though is not out of the question, especially in that offense where it's an air raid type system.
It's a QB-friendly offense. It's set up for the QB to succeed. That's why I think that he's going to throw for more yards than what a lot of people are probably thinking. All right, well, thanks for being on the show, Shawn. Appreciate you coming on here. All right, he has some socials, particularly Instagram and Twitter. All right, so make sure you follow his Instagram at Shawn.Davisson. He also has a Twitter account. It's at Shawn Davisson too. All right, appreciate you coming on the show, man.
Yeah, man, appreciate you having me. Love talking college football. Could do it all day.
Yeah, for sure. All right, see you, bro.
Yep, see ya.
Yep. Bye. That was Shawn Davisson that you guys just heard. All right, so he seems to be pretty high on JT Daniels. I'm also pretty high on him as well. I believe that JT Daniels will end up having a breakout season at West Virginia. Shawn Davisson seems to agree with me on that. So we're just pretty excited about what West Virginia football is going to be looking like with JT Daniels at the quarterback position. So that is why I believe JT Daniels will end up playing pretty well for West Virginia this season. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking. Like the video and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That'll be for the at Dustin Tran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at Dustin Tran and at Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter at Dustin Tran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video. Comment down below. Check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel, Sports Guy Talking.